6 months have passed since everyone we know left Gray Sloan Memorial, leaving Meredith to consider how she might be able to save the residency program on her own. It appears that this particular recipe calls for two essential components. Spend a lot of money on modern operating rooms and hire attending doctors who might have more guts than perfect grades. This implies that the roster of players for this season is entirely fresh. You can be sure that the showrunners will make every effort to make sure that all of the principal interns remember the crazy antics of the original 5. This includes, but is not limited to, passing out on gurneys tucked away in a random empty hallway, sleeping with an attending, exchanging insults in the locker room, giving out nicknames, and more. Meredith, Ellen Pompeo, is still the chief, but she insisted on preserving the word interim in her title, so you should be aware of that. Everyone appears to be of the opinion that Bailey, Chandra Wilson, will eventually make a comeback, but all we get is 5 minutes of gorgeous braids, manicured nails, and the assurance that she is not yet prepared to do so. Gray Sloan was resuming its residency program and everything has changed, with a cohort of freshmen whom Bailey, who was still very much on leave, dismissed as having come from the bottom of the barrel. One of them, Jules Millen, Adelaide Kane, had recently engaged in a one-night fling with an unaware Link, and she laughed in his face when he apprehensively suggested that they tell HR about their fictitious relationship. Miki Yasuda, Midori Francis, another freshman, quickly learned that Orgampalooza is not an acceptable phrase for a tornado-based bus disaster that left a number of individuals about to donate their hearts, livers, and other organs that they no longer needed. Residence number 3 due to a panic attack spurred on by the realization that she would be working at the same hospital where her mother had passed away giving birth to her, Simone Griffith, Alexis Floyd, arrived late on the first day of work. The fourth of our newcomers, Harry Shum Jr.'s Benson Kwan, said that everyone called him Blue because he always wins, as in the ribbon. Is it just me, or did he and Simone seem to click? Finally, Lucas Adams, Nico Turho, who has Nico-worthy abs and a knack for bleeping up, was introduced to us. Derek's favorite nephew was named. But Meredith informed Amelia that wasn't the reason she had hired him. Gray was reminded of Amelia by Lucas rather than her late husband. Levi took advantage of the residency program being back in operation to leave his hated OB residency with Joe and beg Richard to become him head resident. Schmidt was not only the senior resident Weber required as opposed to a first year, but the doctor formerly known as Glasses also made a promise. If I'm ever tempted to go soft, I'll picture a return to OB and I'll get stronger like a vagina, which I've been forced to learn can stretch to 200 times its natural size and lift a 30-pound weight just by flexing. Chief Gray was so in favor of it that she even offered it to Levi, all he had to do was get her approval. In other staffing news, Meredith asked her ex-boyfriend to take over as the residency director while Nick was at Gray Sloan to pick up an organ for transplant. This was the first time they had seen each other in 6 months. She had hired people that other hospitals might have labeled rejects because of his past, but he would also spend less time traveling because of it. She wanted to make their relationship work even though she had injured him by not doing more than calling his name after ordering him to return to Minnesota. In more staffing news, Teddy and Owen paid Mur a visit and informed her that they had received permission to resume their jobs. Altman had, in fact. Hunt was only permitted to return to work for the following 6 months under supervision after paying a considerable amount in legal fees to get him out of his sticky situation. His license as a physician had been revoked. The female body has become a war zone in this country, and pink is a peacetime hue, Joe said Link later in the show, explaining why she was replacing the OB department scrubs from pink to black. Maggie was able to inform a patient by the name of Howard that he would be receiving a new heart because of the abundance of organs that were suddenly accessible for harvesting. The task of telling Howard and his husband the news after it became clear treatment wouldn't work went to Jules, the Pierce aficionado who gushed that the accompanying image wasn't a terrific photo, was preoccupied with an article she had written. A kind word probably? When Lucas informed the incorrect mother, Jane, that her son was brain dead, he was given the first Big Screw-Up award. Because Sarah desired to be planted in a different way if she passed away, this temporarily jeopardized Mur's plans to transplant all of Sarah's organs. Eventually, Jane was informed that her kid was brain dead once more, and Blue, who had claimed to always consider the lives his late brother's organs had spared, had encouraged Jane to donate her son's organs to Sarah. He later acknowledged that he didn't even have a brother. Nick encouraged Lucas to observe Sarah's surgery despite his nearly fatal error. Marsh advised, "End your day better than it began." Lucas actually quoted Uncle Derek in the OR to accomplish this. "This day is perfect for saving lives."